Shockwaves are hitting Dallas right now. Jerry Jones has reportedly made a firm decision on Dak Prescott, and insiders are saying there's no going back. That's not negotiation talk, that's final. The Cowboys may have just crossed a line that changes the franchise's direction for years to come. Is this about money? Playoff pressure? A power shift inside the building? When ownership makes a definitive move on a franchise quarterback, it sends a message to the entire locker room. And if this decision stands, the Cowboys aren't just adjusting, they're redefining their future starting right now. Cowboys Nation, this is one of those moments that could define an entire era of Dallas football. Because what we're hearing right now out of Frisco is something nobody expected to hear this soon. The words being whispered inside the building? There's no going back. And when you connect that to Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones, you know this isn't just another off-season rumor. This feels different. This feels final. For years, Dak Prescott has been the face of the Dallas Cowboys. Since taking over as the starting quarterback in 2016, he's carried the weight of America's team on his shoulders. He's been praised, criticized, doubted, defended, and everything in between. Through playoff heartbreak, regular season dominance, coaching changes, and roster reshuffles, Dak has remained the constant. But now, after another season that didn't end with a deep playoff run, the tone inside the organization has shifted. And it starts at the very top with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, the owner and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, has never been afraid to speak his mind. When he believes in a player, he says it loudly. When he's frustrated, you can hear it between the lines. And recently, his comments about the direction of the team, the future, and accountability have raised serious eyebrows across the league. Sources close to the organization suggest that the Cowboys are seriously evaluating what the next phase of this franchise looks like.
And that includes a hard, uncomfortable conversation about Dak Prescott's long-term future in Dallas. Now, let's be clear. Dak Prescott is still under contract. He's still one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the league. He's still respected in that locker room. But what's changed is the urgency. The Cowboys are not rebuilding. They believe their roster is built to win now. With stars on both sides of the ball, elite defensive talent, and playmakers at key positions, the expectation isn't just to compete, it's to contend. And when you fall short repeatedly in the postseason, the spotlight gets hotter on the quarterback than anyone else. That's the reality of playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has publicly stood by Dak in the past. He's defended him after interceptions. He's defended him after playoff losses. He's pointed to the supporting cast, to injuries, to coaching decisions. But now, insiders say the conversation has shifted from support to evaluation. And when someone inside the organization reportedly says there's no going back, that suggests a decision has either been made or is very close to being made. So what could that mean? One possibility is that the Cowboys are preparing for a future without Dak Prescott as their long-term quarterback. That doesn't necessarily mean a trade tomorrow. It doesn't necessarily mean a release next week. But it could mean they are positioning themselves financially and strategically to move in a different direction if 2026 doesn't bring the breakthrough they're chasing. Another possibility, a dramatic restructuring of the offense and leadership approach that puts unprecedented pressure on Dak. A true prove-it scenario. No more excuses, no more transitional phases. Win deep in the playoffs or the franchise pivots. And here's where Jerry Jones becomes the key figure in all of this. Jerry is 83 years old. He doesn't have the patience for long-term projects anymore. He wants another Super Bowl in his lifetime. The last time the Cowboys hoisted the Lombardi Trophy was in the 1995 season. That drought hangs over this organization like a shadow, and Jerry feels it more than anyone. Dak Prescott's regular season numbers have been strong. He's thrown for thousands of yards. He's led top-scoring offenses. He's shown toughness, leadership, and resilience. But in Dallas, quarterbacks are judged by January, and that's where the narrative becomes complicated. Fair or unfair, Dak's playoff performances have become the measuring stick. The interceptions, the stalled drives, the missed opportunities in big moments. Those images stick with fans. And when you combine that with the contract, the expectations rise. Now let's talk about the locker room dynamic. Dak is respected. Teammates believe in him. But the NFL is a results-driven business. When leadership at the top begins signaling that everything is on the table, it creates tension. It creates urgency. It creates a sense that the next season isn't just another chapter. It's the chapter. And that's where this no-going-back mentality takes shape. Because if the Cowboys decide to draft a quarterback early, if they bring in serious competition, if they start preparing financially for a post-Dak era, that sends a message, a loud one. It says the organization is willing to make a bold, potentially unpopular move in order to chase a championship. And let's not ignore the business side of this. Dak Prescott's contract carries significant cap implications. Moving on isn't simple. It requires careful financial planning. It requires timing. It requires a clear successor plan. But the NFL has shown us time and time again that when teams decide it's time, they find a way. Look at recent history around the league. Franchises have moved on from established quarterbacks in pursuit of something greater. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it backfires. But the common thread is courage. Is Jerry Jones ready to make that kind of move? That's the question shaking Cowboys Nation right now. Because if Jerry believes that the current formula has peaked, he may decide that standing still is more dangerous than taking a risk. And here's the twist that makes this even more dramatic. There are people inside the building who still firmly believe Dak can get it done. They argue that continuity, coaching adjustments, and better postseason execution could flip the narrative entirely. They see a quarterback who has battled adversity and come back stronger. They see leadership and maturity. There's no going back suggests that whichever path they choose, it will be decisive. No half measures, no hedging, no safe middle ground. And if you know Jerry Jones, you know he doesn't do quiet transitions. When he makes a move, it shakes the league. Cowboys fans are divided. Some are fiercely loyal to Dak, pointing out that football is a team sport and playoff losses aren't solely on the quarterback. Others argue that elite quarterbacks elevate in the biggest moments, and until Dallas sees that consistently, change must be considered. What makes this even more intense is the timing. The NFC landscape is competitive. Young quarterbacks are rising. Windows close quickly in the NFL. The Cowboys can't afford to waste prime years from their defensive stars and offensive weapons. So when you hear that the front office has had serious internal discussions about the direction of the franchise, that's not just smoke. That's strategy. That's preparation. That's an acknowledgement that the current path hasn't produced the ultimate result. Now imagine the pressure heading into next season. Every throw Dak makes will be analyzed. Every interception magnified. Every playoff snap potentially career-defining. Because when ownership signals that change is possible, the margin for error disappears. This could be the most important season of Dak Prescott's career. Win big, and he silences doubters, secures his legacy, and cements his place in Cowboys history. Fall short again, and the phrase, "there's no going back," could become reality in the most dramatic way possible. Jerry Jones has built this franchise on boldness. He fired legendary coaches, he made blockbuster trades, he signed massive contracts, he thrives on high-stakes decisions, and now he may be facing one of the biggest of his tenure. Move forward with unwavering faith in Dak Prescott, or make the shocking decision that reshapes the Dallas Cowboys for the next decade. Cowboys Nation, buckle up. because the next few months could change everything. This isn't just about a quarterback. It's about legacy. It's about championships. It's about whether the Dallas Cowboys are satisfied being competitive or if they're willing to risk it all to be champions again. And if the whispers are true, if the tone inside that building really has shifted to "there's no going back," then we're watching the beginning of a defining moment in franchise history. One way or another, a line has been drawn, and once that line is crossed, there's no undoing it. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.